Hey Tyrant, welcome to the crew. I'm Sea Lord Janda, and this is my Let's Play of Tyranny. We are now at Tunon's court, and we've had a brief chat with our boss, and we're now about to go and meet with Tunon one-on-one. And let's go meet Tunon. The ornament atop the throne resembles Tunon's mask. It always seems to meet your gaze, regardless of where you're standing.
This civil war, this feud, is an insult to Kairos' peace. It should not have taken the better part of a year to silence the last vestiges of the Oathbreakers.
Tunon regards you in thoughtful silence. I agree, Your Honor.
Our allies squabble while our enemies regroup. It falls upon the court to measure the extent of the damage and to execute the agents of disorder. I suspect that treachery, negligence, disunity, and greed have infected one or both of our esteemed allies. Until you are instructed otherwise, this matter is the court's primary focus.
Of course, my lord.
Graven Ash and the voices of Nerat must be examined in close detail. You are charged with observing the Archons and presenting your case that one of them has wrought chaos and disorder upon the Tiers.
Is it possible they're both guilty?
It's possible, but the momentum of the conquest up to this point suggests otherwise. The failure at Vendrian's Well implies a coordinated will behind the chaos. As always, you will be held accountable for what you do in the court's name, but you are free to conduct your investigation in the manner of your choosing. You must expect lies, misdirection, and manipulation. Suffer not such obstructions of justice.
Yeah, I get the sense Tunon takes a pretty hard attitude towards obstruction of justice.
The disfavored seem the logical first step in your inquiry. The Legion holds you in some esteem, and Graven Ash has shown deference to the court in times past. No doubt the disfavored will be rife with accusations and evidence against the voices of Nerat. Graven Ash is a noble man, but never underestimate his capacity for deception. A wise general succeeds by knowing when to be unreadable to the enemy. You should, of course, speak with the Scarlet Chorus and gather their testimony, but it stands to reason that most in the chorus would sooner brag about a pauldron fashioned from your skull than entertain your questions.
Yeah.
Do not regret killing the rabble that impede your investigation. They will be easily replaced.
Alright, fair enough. Well, I'll speak with Graven Ash.
Your fellow Fatebinders have been busy acting as my eyes and ears. I have a few leads for you to follow. You should, of course, speak with your brothers and sisters of the court if you need further counsel. The disfavored have made use of the Sage's network of dovecotes and messenger birds as they come under capture. I've heard multiple claims of strategic communications gone missing.
Well, that's possible, because the messenger birds, the sages are not that loyal.
The Sages are broken, their citadel in flames, but they were not slaughtered to the last. Some of their numbers still congregate around the smoking husk of their burning library. If they have been reading disfavored communications, learn what they learned, then execute them.
Fair enough.
The Oathbreakers were reported to be using iron armaments, more than they might acquire from looting what few disfavored they killed. Any iron in the tiers not rusted through was made by forge-bound hands in Lethian's Crossing. Between craftsman and quartermaster, someone let iron fall into enemy hands. Investigate this matter and bring the thieves to justice.
Yes, my
There
lord.
is a final matter to discuss. A sensitive topic.
Though it's impossible to gauge from his expression, Tunon seems more weary than usual. I'm gonna guess it's about what I did with that spire. What concerns the court, Your Honor?
In spite of the many shortcomings at Vendrian's Well, you managed to make a name for yourself. You proclaimed an Edict of Kairos, resolved its demanding conditions, and ascended the mountain spire.
I did?
Any one of these feats would be worthy of recognition by the highest authority. You managed to accomplish 3.
Tunon hovers in observance, awaiting a response. I was only doing my job, Your Honor.
Your sense of obligation to your role is admirable, but modesty will not recommend you to the task ahead. Whether by design or by accident, you have captured the attention of Kairos' army and the local tiersmen alike. This is no small opportunity, and the court charges you with exploiting your new standing to its fullest potential.
Alright, fair enough.
You have a title in our hierarchy. However, it's a little-known secret that one's standing in the world is determined by their infamy, their deeds, and how they come to be known. Mind this notion as you bring justice to this lawless frontier. There may come a time when your deeds speak for you louder than any title. Whatever you did to capture the attention of the masses at Vendrian's Well, I would encourage you to do so again.
Understood, my lord. I'll be a great champion of justice.
Good. It falls to us to set a new standard for these southern barbarians. You are dismissed. Should the court have need of your presence, you will receive word. Go forth and do my bidding, and bring glory and honor to the tiers in Kairos' name.
Tunon raps his gavel against the floor, the singular note resounding throughout the hall. Well, I guess, there's our judgment. He's back here now. Okay. Can I talk to him any further? You return. It is gratifying to see that the war has not caused you to forget your roots. What is it you wish to know? Oh, I have a request from Barrack of the Stone Shields. And what does Barrack of the Stone Shields want of the court? He has made his displeasure known in a loud enough voice to collapse the tiers upon each other. The adjudicator glares down at Barrack. He came to inquire if the Forgebound could help remove his armor. If he has become encased in iron, that is none of the court's concern. My Forgebound smiths are occupied crafting weapons for the army, and I would not have their focus diverted to liberate one soldier from his raiment. Stone Shield. Does his favored not have standards for the upkeep of arms and armor? Is this not one of your Archon's guiding principles? It is, Your Honor, but I found myself trapped in this junk pile after the Edict of Storms hit Stalwart. If you want to blame anyone, it should be Kairos. The adjudicator contemplates the matter in total silence. The moment drags on far longer than you would suspect it warrants, but Tunon's interest does not abate for a moment. The soldier will remain encased in his armor, eccentric though it may be, and all subjects of Kairos are forbidden to aid in its removal. Magic the likes of which none of us understand has touched the stone shield, and we will not interfere with the will of Kairos. But I'm trapped. Barrack trails off, looking to you for answers. Your Honor, could you not... He's gonna hate this. Could you not reconsider? Yeah. I'm surprised and disappointed that you would even ask. Whatever you were trying to prove to your travel companion, the court finds it festering with sympathy and a lack of precedent. Such is the will of Kairos and the will of the court. Tunon nods and bangs his gavel. Yeah, I knew objecting would be a bad idea, but I was just trying to get Barrack on my side, to be honest. You tried, and I suppose that counts for something. The adjudicator didn't say anything about me bending my way out of here, at least. Not that trying has ever made it better. I wish to speak about matters of law, my lord. Then you are well situated, for my court is the legal heart of this corrupt and uncivilized realm. What matters draw your curiosity? You are already well versed in Kairos' law, but I'm happy to discuss the particulars. I want to discuss Kairos' peace. The cornerstone of our wartime efforts, of course. Kairos' peace guarantees all willing supplicants under the Overlord's authority a place in her world. The exact wording of the bylaw is, your life is not yours to discard. The Overlord has plans for you. No, fair enough. This extends to several spheres of influence. Among others, it grants protection to enemies who surrender in a time of war, and it forbids suicide. The dispense with the Overlord's vassal and property is prohibited. Alright, remind me how the Overlord's name may be used. It is not forbidden to cross one's tongue with Kairos' name, but it behooves one to use caution and respect. The Overlord's name is not yours to give, whether to progeny, product, location, or abstraction. Slander of the Overlord is punishable by death. There's only one Kairos, and her name is safeguarded. No one may say Kairos and have it obfuscated by a second meaning. Neither will her name be associated to trivialities. The gambler will not attribute his fortune to Kairos' luck, or his misfortune to Kairos' scorn. Such an association lowers the Overlord in the public estimate, and is rightly considered slander most foul. I see. About the old walls. The old walls are forbidden, as are their contents and their denizens. Owning any item from the old walls is considered trespass regardless of how it came into your possession. Mind that in the course of your travels. As the old walls extend across much of the tiers in Northern Empire alike, Kairos permits her servants to pass only where she has sculpted the landscape to permit traverse. Under no circumstances are you to enter a breach in the old walls, even for a task as innocent as crossing to the other side. These restrictions seem too severe. I would remind you that they are for the protection of Kairos' subjects. The Overlord has no desire to see harm needlessly inflicted upon her loyal followers. Okay, how about the Magician's Folly? Practitioners of the arcane arts must be sanctioned by one of Kairos' guilds, such as the Blood Chanters or Forgebound. Rogue magicians with a tenuous grasp of unknown powers will not be tolerated. A sanctioned mage whose spellcasting causes damage to life or property is lawfully deemed innocent. As long as they practice their art in the service of Kairos, all is forgiven. Alright, how about quotas and sharing? The harvest blooms and blights by the will of Kairos. In times of lean, you will be fed. In times of wealth, you will feed others. This law is a sizable category unto itself, serving many needs at once, trade and tax being only two examples. The broadest intent of the law is to empower Kairos' subjects to care for their neighbor and expect care in return. You might take note of the law's application to trade. A merchant's right to peddle their wares is defined by permits granted annually. The regional authority has the right to decide if a merchant sells cabbage one year and sandals the next. Anyone breaking through their restrictions is subject to immediate forfeiture of all assets. You need not concern yourself over the nuances, at least until they apply to this contested realm in a time of peace. Alright, how about forbidden knowledge? Kairos herself sets the standards of what can and cannot be known. These restrictions are rarely enforced, but they are worth taking into account. During the war, for example, Kairos deemed the knowledge of the Vellum Citadel taboo. No one may possess the wisdom of that fallen repository save Kairos herself. Calling it all taboo seems a bit like overkill, but to play Kairos' advocate, the world would hardly be safer if all had access to the lore of making poisons or the art of arming brigands and fine bronze. This is for the protection of her subjects. Before the coming of Kairos, during the ages of anarchy and discord, powerful knowledge in undeserving hands leveled empires without thought or mercy. Kairos has no desire to revisit those dark times. Am I beholden to these laws? That should not be in question. We are all subjects of Kairos. Her laws define and regulate our very way of life. With that said, as an agent of law, you are granted more leeway than a soldier or citizen. You may find yourself compelled to commit morally questionable acts in the name of Kairos. If it serves the court's justice, much may be forgiven. If the court finds any of your actions suspect, we will summon you to answer for yourself. Your testimony will be heard and judgment rendered. You are exceedingly curious about the application of Kairos' law. I find it refreshing that you would seek my counsel, Fatebinder. Good, he likes talking about the law. That probably makes sense. Can you tell me anything about... These both seem very dangerous lines of questioning, honestly, but can you tell me anything about Kairos? Kairos is our overlord. She ushers us from the brink of chaos with a stern hand and gestures to the way of peace. We are only too eager to follow in her perfect example. I couldn't help notice that, and you are one who'd be very close to her. You refer to Kairos as a woman. Nope, he doesn't like talking about that. Beware of that trajectory of thought. Save for her perfection, there is little about Kairos to which we could ascribe recognizable attributes. A power as distant and unknowable as the Overlord should transcend our petty dualities. Male, female, it makes no difference. Kairos is mother to us all. I feel like all these questions are very dangerous to ask, honestly. What's your relationship with Kairos? She is my master, and I her dutiful pupil. In this respect, you and I are no different. I have the honor of Kairos' confidence. She trusts me to enact her law upon the boundless territory of her rule. I am only too grateful to serve. I am the voice of Kairos' will, the harbinger for judgment, and the arm of her justice. How old is Kairos? By our reckoning, her age upon Taratus is magnificent. Her true span defies measurement by our limited construct of time. It would be a waste to spend our few pitiable years attempting to solve that riddle of existence. Think of Kairos not as subject to beginnings or endings. Kairos is, and Kairos will ever be. I'm not going to ask if he thinks the laws are fair. That seems beyond asinine. Okay. What? You tell me about Blood and Mark? He is my headsman and an assassin without equal. His official designation in Kairos' hierarchy is the Archon of Shadows, though I wonder that he ever considers himself aught but a slayer of the unjust. How did he earn his title? His work away from the court takes Bledenmark to the dark places of the world, the tiers in Northern Empire alike. Over time, Shadows became his dominion. They cloak him, protect him, and even fight for him if the need arises. It is said that Bledenmark can travel to any place where shadows are cast. Only he would know this for certain. Does he serve you alone? Your question is flawed. We are all servants of Kairos. The Archons are also agents of their own interests, those chosen few empowered to bring order to the world in accordance with Kairos' peace. At present, Bledenmark is my vassal and I his patron. The relationship is not so different from Graven Ash and Cairn, the fallen Archon, or the voices of Nerat and his songbird, Siren. Such partnerships and apprenticeships are common. They provide mutual benefit to the Archons involved as well as a measure of oversight. Alright. Curious about you, Tunon. Curiosity is not a trait that I encourage in my servants. Too often have I witnessed such activity leading down a path to lawlessness. However, if you feel that a better understanding of me will inform your work, then I will allow it. Did you invent the office of the Fatebinders? Indirectly, yes. Just as I am the representative of Kairos' law across Taratus, you are the face of my judgment for the people. I took inspiration from the Overlord's example, as we all should. The people needed an approachable face to settle their grievances, and I am not available to adjudicate on every sharecropper's dispute. The Fatebinders were an inevitable solution. What does it mean to be an Archon? I am a figure of power and significance, and under Kairos' mandate I am able to exercise my authority for the benefit of all. Had I not earned the Overlord's approval, I would not stand tall before you. Did you come into power yourself, or did Kairos train you? An astute question. Doubtless I exhibited some spark of potential on my own, insignificant, though enough to accomplish deeds of note. Only under Kairos' tutelage have I grown to these heights. Could anyone become an Archon? Absolutely not. Only a precious few grow into this authority. Were it otherwise, Taratus would descend into pandemonium. Of those few who rise into power, fewer still have the self-control to make lawful use of those talents, and of those who can, fewer still are deemed worthy of Kairos' approval. Does every Archon serve Kairos? All are subservient before Kairos, but I intuit your meaning. The Overlord takes great pains to recognize potential. Before an Archon comes into their power, they will have faced the harshest scrutiny, by an agent of recruitment, if not Bledenmark himself. Those who are found worthy of incredible deeds, but refuse to join their strength to the needs of the Empire, are doomed to die. Those who wish to make a name for themselves are invited into the fold, to serve and rule the needs of the Empire. That is the price of power in Kairos' hierarchy. Alright. How did you become adjudicator? Curb your ambition, student. My path to this dais is not one that could be replicated under any circumstances. However, if your curiosity is determined, I will tell you my story. My apologies, my lord. I only wish to understand the law and your execution of it. An admirable pursuit. You know much of Kairos' law and the maintenance of order already. My history may tell you something of how it can be used to win wars. I came into the world centuries ago, before the dream of a unified Northern Empire was fully realized. My home country lay far from the borders of Kairos' realm, and our conquest was a matter of distant speculation. Decades before rumor of Kairos' approach grew in panicked volume, I familiarized myself with the intricacies of her law. It took me no time at all to realize the benefits of our inevitable subjugation. I took it upon myself to rise in my country's governance as an arbiter of law and drafter of covenants, building some notoriety for my execution of fair justice. As my influence and the trust of my people evolved, my decisions transcended to define future precedent. What my countrymen could not have surmised was that I had woven into our customs the very backbone of Kairos' law. I set the stage for the conquest of our floundering nation to join the Overlord's empire. By the time the Overlord's armies presented themselves and offered terms of surrender, we had adopted Kairos' peace in all but name. Our absorption into the Northern Empire was a matter of legal formality, negligible changes to our already beloved document of law. The people credited me as the architect of peace, and for a time called me Tunon the Affair. As my importance grew in their estimate, Kairos could not help but learn of the part I played in her bloodless victory. Kairos' law has a breadth of intricacies that is unapproachable to the masses. I was chosen to interpret and represent the Overlord's will across the Northern Empire and beyond, this time as adjudicator. It is my pride, my duty, my life. Asking about the mask seems really dangerous, but we'll ask anyway. Yeah, okay. This should be obvious to you by now, student. Since the answer is relevant to your duties, I will tolerate your ignorance and explain. The face is an uncontrollable warren of muscle spasms and reactionary contortions, sickening in its display of every petty bias. It cannot be trusted to audience or judge dispute without navigating a gauntlet of subjectivity for all to witness. In my early days, before the Northern Empire spread to my lands, I fashioned the mask of listening out of stern, uncaring wood. This expression of enduring patience hearkens the testimony of my petitioners, taking in all evidence before weighing matters in their due course. Later in my career, Kairos herself gifted me the Mask of Resolve. You will find it almost identical to the Mask of Listening, save for the brow furrowed in contemplation and weighed down by the burden of judgment. This is the face that dispenses law, often the most exacting and unforgiving sort. I wore it when I brought Kairos' devastating judgment to the bastard city, and doubtless I will wear it again. Does the mask grant you the power of judgment? An astute question. Kairos would certainly be within her authority to grant me the function to do extraordinary deeds. But no, the mask is a symbol. Justice itself grants me power. An objective ruling has its own consent to enact incredible wonders. Such is my right as the Archon of Law. When I recognize a jurisprudent need, there is nothing I cannot do. I wore it. No, he said that already. I'm not going to ask what he looks like, because that seems like an incredibly stupid question. Farewell, my lord. Oh, I leveled up. Okay. Time to leave the court, I think. Yeah, oh, and we've got a level up. That's nice. And we'll have to speak with Barrack again. We have... Oh, what's this? What the heck was that? Oh, Bledenmark. You're here to... surely not assassinate me. Welcome back, kid. Amusing as it would have been to watch the edict drop, I guess I'm glad you lived. Bledenmark, Archon of Shadows, rouses from a faraway stare, turning to face you with a wry smile. Though he stands still, he seems to sift in and out of the shadows that shroud him. Here you threw your rings on Graven Ash's side. Not a bad bet to pick the Archon of War. But tell me the truth. Did you go with Ash because it seemed like the right thing to do, or because supporting the Voices was a worse option? Well, neither Archon was at their best, but Graven Ash is the more capable warlord. The disfavored are nothing if not blindly devoted to their general, and though few in number, they are surprisingly difficult to kill. I don't have to like it to understand it. We both have our ways for turning the tides of war. All that matters is that the Edict of Execution was stayed. Those stationed at Vendrian's Well should be thanking you for their lives. Now, I assume you're off to go meet with Ash, but first you and I need to have a little chat. Listening? I love how often I have the glare silently option. Everyone's keeping an eye on you, because you did something nobody has done before. Got a guess as to what that might be? I'm the first to awaken a spire of the Old Walls. You're not wrong. That was definitely a shock, but I doubt it's the sole reason you've made the tears tremble. Proclaiming an edict isn't new. Neither is surviving or resolving the commandments of an edict, but you're the first to proclaim and resolve the very same edict, and it didn't kill you. In one fell swoop, you survived your second edict, resolved the very one you had proclaimed, and woke an arcane structure that had slept for several centuries. And now I go on your very short list of people who stand out as potential problems? More or less. Mostly more. He offers you a dangerous grin. Seems like he has a weird sense of humor for a, assassin, but I don't care what you do with the information, but you should know the danger you're in now that you've put yourself on the map. Sticking with the disfavored is a smart idea, kid. At least smarter than getting mixed up with the Archon of Secrets. You'll never really be one of them, but if you value Ash's warriors, they'll serve you the best they can. Thanks for the advice. The Archon of Shadows shrugs to you in farewell, but his golden eyes are alight with interest as he watches you. Can we talk more with him? Nope, okay. Well, let's see here. Okay, we've leveled up again. I can add, let's see here. mean, accuracy isn't the worst thing. Improve might, it would give me more ability strength. Well, this is spell strength, though, so... I mean, accuracy's good. What's that accuracy? I feel like I've seen this missing before, so... yeah, I'm not gonna worry about those. Let's keep boosting our magic. More spell slots would be nice. Yeah, let's grab an extra spell slot. Okay. Tunon is displeased with the chaos that emerged from Rendry as well, and believes that one of the warring Archons may be principally responsible for the civil war that now grips the Tiers. As you travel the Younger Realms, take notice of any evidence of negligence, incompetence, or outright treason found within the disfavored of Scarlet Chorus. Well, okay. Not a lot of evidence yet for either of them, really. We need to meet with Graven Ash. We need to talk to Barrack again. And there's a spire we can investigate at Lethian's Crossing. So our next thing will be to go talk to Graven Ash. And the disfavored love us. This gives us a damage absorption shield to the target. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Well, so next we'll have to go meet with Graven Ash, but I think we're going to call it there for now. So, thank you all very much for watching. Hope you've all enjoyed. Next stream of Tyranny will probably be Wednesday, I think. So maybe I'll see you then. In the meantime, this is Sea Lord Janda signing off.